Hi, welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. I'm your host, Brian Koval. Before we get started, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you want to see me play your favorite deck or your spicy brew on the channel, I take donation deck lists. I'll do a deck tech, play a full Magic Online League, and help tune your list. If that sounds good, check out my contact info. It's in the video description below. Now let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to another BoshNRoll video. I'm playing Legacy. This is a donation deck list from subscriber Gonzalo. And what Gonzalo has done here is sort of hybridize the Reclaimer post decks with Snow. So we got Astrolabe, Icefang, Coatl, Uro, that should all be familiar, Brainstorm, but then there's also Crop Rotation, Elvish Reclaimer, Cloud Post, and Eldrazi. So this is kind of an interesting idea. The last episode of Eternal Glory podcast, we talked about the mid-range war in Legacy. Like it's how Legacy is sort of devolving into an arms race between mid-range decks trying to out mid-range each other. And if you think of this deck as Snow with 12 post in it, then not much is going to go bigger than that, except for actual dedicated 12 post. So it's pretty exciting to be in that space. Let's hope we get a lot of fair mid-rangey matchups. Like I don't think we could ever lose the like Snow pseudo mirror against classic Snow with this, but this sort of increases exposure to wastelands over the normal post deck, because normal post would just runs a bunch of pithing needles where you try to proactively needle wastelands so you can set up with impunity. But it also mitigates that by having a lower to the ground, fairer plan that doesn't necessarily result in Eldrazi. Like we could just cast Uros and Icefang Coatls and outgrind that way. So definitely an interesting concept. I'm excited to try it. It's been a long time since I played Cloud Post deck in Legacy. I do have some experience with these, probably like 5 or 6 years ago. I got really into the mono green or blue green archetype, and I played it at some GP side events. I played it in some local Legacy events in paper. Like I have some experience with this deck. Um, so I made some adjustments to Gonzalo's sideboard. He had a Allosaurus Shepherd in there, and he had Glacial Chasm in the main. So I cut the Allosaurus Shepherd entirely because the kind of the point of this deck is that we outmuscle enemy counterspells. Like Ulamog and Emrakul have no respect for enemy counterspells. So, and if that's where we're going, then we can afford to get one for one along the way. And I added Cavern of Souls to the list in that spot, and I put it in the main deck. We have more crop rotations than we have Green Sun Zeniths. So Cavern of Souls in that Allosaurus Shepherd spot made sense to me. Cavern also gives you, like, I guess it doesn't really give you much that Shepherd doesn't, because these cards are effectively uncounterable anyway. But uh, I think the Zeniths will be pointed towards Elvish Reclaimer most of the time on the low end, and they're going to get prime time every time on the top end. So I struggle to imagine a board state where I would want to spend a Zenith on Allosaurus Shepherd. So Cavern of Souls is in that spot. Cavern on Giant is a interaction that defined its standard format. It's an interaction that defines Modern now, and here it is in Legacy. And I moved the Glacial Chasm to the board. You only want that in certain matchups, and it's actively bad when you don't want it. So I think that's a better sideboard card than Cavern of Souls. We're going to play against more counter spells than we're going to play against balls to the wall aggro decks. I also added a couple Mind Break traps to the sideboard because this deck is not beating Storm. Ever, ever, ever. No chance. So I added the Mind Break traps. You could play Null Rod, but you have 6 artifacts of your own, so it's a little bit of splash damage. But I'm going to let Veil of Summer, Flusterstorm, and Mind Break Trap do the heavy lifting there. And that's the list. Let's hope we get to go off with Eldrazi early and often, and let's go do this thing. Alright, so it's round 1, we're on the draw. This hand is ready to get nasty if it finds a cloud post, but it doesn't have one, but it does have Once Upon a Time. If Once Upon a Time can find a cloud post or any blue source, this hand becomes pretty functional. I'm actually going to keep this. And even if they like counter my Once Upon a Time or something, I could copy one of their lands with Vesuva. Like this isn't bad. Does appear that we're in the business of getting dunked on by Urza Echo though. This is going to be a hard deck to beat. Alright, Once Upon a Time, show me the money. Oh no, just nothing. Alright, I'm going to copy their Seat of the Synod. That'll let me brainstorm next turn. I don't have high hopes for this matchup. They are exactly the kind of dunking that will destroy me. There's no Karn the Great Creator in my list, which would be the thing I'd work towards in a normal Cloud Post list. Uh-oh, I will scoop to Karn. There it is. I copied their artifact land and died for it instantly. Okay. Strong start. Okay, so Force of Vigor is coming in. I don't know that I want Bajuka Bog or anything like that. Mindbreak Trap can be good if we are echoing repeatedly, but not if Hull Breacher is already in play. So I'm going to think about that. Force of Vigor is definitely an easy choice, though. Bajuka Bog is an option because of Emery stuff. So what's less good? This is not an Uro matchup. It's even less of an Icefang Coatl matchup. So Icefang Coatls are out. These are in. I'm going to mulligan much more aggressively now that I know we're playing against a combo deck. The Candelabras are kind of a liability because we know they're a Karn deck. And I have no way to remove a Karn once it's in play, other than combat. And Halana only hits creatures, not planeswalkers, unfortunately. So they are likely a Chalice deck. I brought in my forces. That's all I can do about that. I don't think I want the Flusters. It hits the Echo of Aeons, but nothing else out of their deck. And the rest of these things all just get chewed up by Chalice. I think I do want the Bajuka Bog just as an option against Emery. I'll go one less Candelabra. Actually, Candelabra's explosive enough that I might want it. I'll go one less Astrolabe. Alright, that's my plan. Alright, we have Cloud Post this time. Force of Vigor, double Force of Vigor. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. So, in the Eternal Glory podcast, where we talked about the mid-range war, we also talked about how the way to break the mid-range war is by playing combo, and my opponent is doing that. So I don't need to play any of these Once Upon a Times. I'm not casting any spells just yet. If I need to Force a Vigor this turn, I'll cast one of these Once Upon a Times before it. It's nice that I have two, because it's green, and I don't want the second one. kind of wish they had seeded the Synod again. All right, this is a test point. Spending Force of Vigor on an Urza's Bauble is not exciting, but if they have a third artifact here, I might want to keep Mox Opal from turning on. Okay, they just didn't have anything. That's even better. All right, now it's time to Once Upon a Time. Ooh. Halana. I don't have any green mana, so that's probably a negative. I'm gonna take this other Locus. I copy Cloud Post. And I'm gonna play Candelabra. And I'll untap my Cloud Post with it. That's not doing anything, but it is fun. I'm not gonna let my floating mana go to waste. So it is kind of a high priority to keep Mox Opal from going active. If they just play Seed of the Synod and cast Karn without me getting priority, that sucks. But if they put another 0 mana artifact on the stack, oh, okay, they don't even need Mox Opal to go for Karn here. All right, well, there's Karn. That stops our Ulamog. This Candelabra is turned off. We would have had 3, 6, 7, pay 2 to 5. Yeah, we would have had Ulamog next turn if they didn't have exactly the sequence to make Karn. Force of Vigor is usually pretty good against a Lattice if you can hardcast it, but I cannot. Lattice turns all cards colorless, so you can't pitch to Force of Vigor once Lattice is in play. Like if you have green, green too, you can float it in response to Lattice and then destroy like Lattice and Karn once it's in play, but that is not what I have. Yeah, they're just natural turn 2 Karn is going to be my natural turn 3 Ulamog. All right, they're making a wish. If I can somehow trick them into not going for Lattice, that would be great. Emery. Okay, yeah. So I'm probably going to want to destroy LED and Mox Opal. Now it doesn't matter because they have Emery. Wow, we got wrecked so hard here. Yeah, they milled over another Alliance Eye Diamond anyway. Oh, there's more. Okay, they're echoing. We're going to lose this hand anyway. I might as well force. And that shuffles away their graveyard too, which is kind of sweet for Emery, but they're about to draw 7, so I imagine they're going to be able to come up with a couple of artifacts or some mana. Crop Rotation and Green Sun Zenith. What do you guys do? So Zenith, I can Zenith for 4. which can get like Uro, but who cares? Crop rotation. I could get Emery, or Caracas and bounce Emery. I'm not convinced that's actually good either. Like if they can make 2 mana, none of this matters. Oh, I just had Caracas. Alright, so this is definitely not looking good. I could Zenith for Elvish Reclaimer and just try to have a creature in play. Just like having any creature at all to pressure the Karn after they lattice. I guess Reclaimer is, or Coatl can fly, which totally changes the Emery's relevance. So yeah, I guess I Zenith for Coatl here. I'm going to use a fetch land to make this happen. Because this deck's not very good at fueling Uro. And it's kind of a pipe dream to think that Uro is going to play a factor in this game. So if they force this, we're just dead. No, they had the force. Fine. Alright, what? Maybe their hand doesn't make any mana. What do we think? Any luck there? Their 7-card hand doesn't make any mana. I guess it's 6. They drew off one of their baubles already. Oh, but they get a draw for turn. Yep, 7-card hand. Doesn't have lands in it. Or Lotus Petal or Lion's Eye Diamond. There's one. Now they need any land, not just a soul land. Oh, the Emery can cast Lotus Petal, so they have 6 mana if they want to go for it. But now they've seen blue mana, maybe that'll give them some pause. It shouldn't, but it might. I have to hope, because that's my only plan. So at this point, my plan to win this game is that they, for some reason, don't lattice me right now. And then I can Caracas Emery. I can crop rotation for Dryad Arbor. I guess I should have used the Prismatic Vista instead of the Misty Rainforest last turn to get a forest. Alright, yeah, they're just going for it. Oh, they had the soul land too. Okay, I've seen enough. You break up that mid-range war with a combo deck. I wish I thought of that. Alright, I'm on the play here with kind of an interesting hand. I'm going to keep it. So this is one of those hands where playing a hybrid deck is kind of awkward, because I would like to get Astrolabe in play and active, but I also want to start hitting my cloud posts. I'm definitely going to play Once Upon a Time first and see what reveals itself. I found another cloud post. Alright, yeah, I'm going to lean into that now that I have 2 of them. And I can play Astrolabe later to make cloud post tap for green or blue. Just gotta hope we don't get wastelanded right now. Oh, my opponent's username has the word combo in it, so this might be a short one. Yep. This is straight up turn 1 Doomsday. Nice. What can I do about that? So even if I draw like crop rotation or green sun zenith, I don't think there's anything I can do about this. Gonzalo, I'm sorry. Your sweet deck built to chew up snow, just running into combo decks left and right. Needs to get to board in Flusterstorms. It's probably the easiest Doomsday pile there's ever been. Just they know they're playing against a non-blue deck. I think what I'm gonna do is play Arkham's Astrolabe. Oh, am I even getting a turn? How does this work? Off of one swamp? Am I getting stormed out? No, that I don't think that's possible. Oh, okay, yeah, then you LED. Alright, yeah, alright. Yeah, that does work. Wish I had a Force of Will. Okay. Got turn 1'd by Doomsday. That doesn't happen very often. Doomsday is not known for doing that, but it certainly happened there. Okay, so I'm bringing in the interaction that I have. Like, Mindbreak Trap isn't great against Doomsday. It would have won me that game for sure, but it generally isn't that great. But I am still bringing it in because it is something. Halana doesn't do anything here. Ramming up Excavator doesn't do anything here. Feel like I want Surgicals, maybe, but also maybe not. I guess I do. That can mess up the order of their deck on a combo turn. Like if they make that same play again and I surgical them in response to the edge of edge of summer, edge of autumn, the edge of whatever cycle trigger, then I can make them shuffle their deck, and then instead of winning the game, they have a 1 in 3 chance of winning the game and a 2 in 3 chance of losing the game. So that sounds like it's worth including. Uro probably isn't very good in this matchup. Like, I'm gonna die immediately, or I'm gonna brick them and take over. So I want all my things that draw more cards. Glacial Chasm, Bajuka Bog, and Tabernacle are not helpful. I can probably shave a Once Upon a Time. Does that make any sense? I guess what am I zenithing for at this point? Like, I'm gonna win or I'm gonna lose. And it's all gonna happen very quickly. So like this Zenith engine, I cut like 4 green creatures, so I think this makes sense. Alright, now we just have to hope that our draws are good and that theirs are bad. I have to mulligan this. It doesn't interact at all. Alright, this one has Brainstorm. I can try to do some fixing. I think I'm gonna ship the Cavern. So that's the least exciting land. Uh-oh, an island. Hopefully they're thinking that they just got away with something game 1, and that I'm actually a blue deck. Which is technically true. So if they kept another like turbo turn 1 hand, hopefully they don't just go for it in the face of island. I'm not super excited if they have a slow disruptive hand either. This matchup is just real bad. Thinking hard about this fetch land. Like, I guess there's a possibility that my deck has Wasteland in it. Or they're just gonna go for it. This is not what I'm gonna fight over. If there's a fight, I'm gonna fight over the Thassa's Oracle. Like, I can't get Flusterstorm into my hand in a functional way. Like, I need to hit Mindbreak Trap or Surgical Extraction to break this up. And now we have the awkward feel bad of I have to cast Once Upon a Time before I cast Brainstorm. And if I send Mindbreak Trap or Surgical Extraction to the bottom with Once Upon a Time, then I'm gonna wish I cast Brainstorm first, but there's nothing I can do about that. It's all just random. Like it's not actually like any strategic value to say that. It's just a feel bad moment. My prediction is that my Once Upon a Time is gonna whiff. It's gonna show me both Mindbreak Traps, both Surgicals, and no land or creature. And then I'm gonna Brainstorm into nothing because all of my hits are on the bottom of the deck. That's just my guess based on how this league has gone so far. Alright, so it looks like they are passing the turn. I'll take that. I'm gonna Once Upon a Time now. So I'm gonna take Elvish Reclaimer. Yeah, there goes the Surgical, but that's fine. Alright, I'm gonna take Reclaimer. I'm gonna cast Brainstorm. Because this gives me a second opportunity to Brainstorm to find something that's useful. I'm gonna send Glimmer Post and Ice Fang Coatl to the Shadow Realm. And I'm just gonna pass with Fetch Brainstorm available. If they kept a discard spell or like any interactive spell in their pile or in their hand, I'm just dead. Yeah, so splitting the difference with the snow and the cloud post has hurt in the two matches we've seen so far. Normal committed 12 post, like colorless or just mono green 12 posts, they're gonna have like Chalice of the Voids and Trinispheres and that kind of stuff, which I just don't have. That defense grid is bad news. Yeah, not even drawing an untapped land so I could even bluff Mindbreak Trap or Force of Will is brutal. I'm almost certainly dead next turn. As finding Surgical could still shuffle up their deck. Oh, there's Flusterstorm right on time. Alright, I will pass the turn and lose. Yeah, not having any sort of permanent based or like taxing, like Thorn of Amethyst, anything like that is just huge beating in these matchups. Knight's Whisper. They ended up drawing their whole deck anyway, so I I guess Surgical may have helped. Like if I had found Surgical this turn, hit the Doomsday, shuffle their deck, and Thassa's Oracle wasn't the last card, I just win, because they can only cast it off LED. Or no, this Brainstorm was in the pile. So I guess they thought of that too. So they would have been able to Brainstorm, put Thassa's Oracle back. Okay, yeah. They just made a really good pile that I was not going to get through. So back-to-back turn 1 Doomsdays out of Doomsday, which is just not even a common line out of that deck. But it happened to us twice there. Alright, let's play against a fair deck. Come on. Alright, on the play for round 3. I'm going to keep this. I have Once Upon a Time and Crop Rotation to look for Cloud Posts, Candelabra to go off. Alright, so I'm going to lead on Once Upon a Time. If I could just find a Cloud Post to play instead of having to rotate for it, that'll save some stress. Alright, yeah, that's how we start this party. So my opponent is either Sweating Bullets or Pumping the Fist based on this land drop. Ooh, Scalding Tarn. Oh no, Preordain. That's only in Wasteland decks and combo decks. So I'm going to play Candelabra, and I'm going to hold up Crop Rotation, because if they do Wasteland, I can just rotate the Cloud Post into another Cloud Post. That's not Wasteland. This feels like a Dreadhorde Arcanist. Oh, Young Peasy. That card is so much worse than Dreadhorde Arcanist. It's not even funny. Alright, so now a little bit of a situation. I really, really don't want to Crop Rotate into a counterspell. I don't want to Once Upon a Time into Daze. I could Once Upon a Time... I could land Once Upon a Time, but then I can't play the land I get. I guess that's fine, though. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pass the turn. Like, doing it on their turn makes them spend their mana on soft counters, it turns off Force of Negation. Gives me some options. It also holds up Crop Rotation without playing into Daze if they do find the Wasteland. I feel like they're just digging for a Wasteland. Maybe they don't even play it. I don't know. Don't know what's going on right now. Alright, so they are Rogue Delver confirmed. Young Pyromancer is kind of a weird choice. There was a chance they were some sort of Rug midrange thing, but Delver is here now. Mystery is over. Jeez, no second Cloud Post. That sucks. I guess I'll take Tropical Island. No, I'll take Icewind Coatl for sure. In this economy, that's not a bad card. Cloud Post, maybe? Alright, well, I guess I will play this Coatl. Oh, this is getting... Alright, I can use Candelabra to play another Coatl. I'll do that on their turn, though. I'm just gonna fetch a forest right now. I just misclicked. That was supposed to be a forest. Though I guess it doesn't matter with Candelabra. No, that does turn on Coatl's Death Touch, though. So that fetch was good. I'm happy with that. I suspect just the elementals will attack. Ooh, alright. They want Delver in there, too. I'll trade off with that all day. So this is the crop rotation. Even if they counter it now, it's still a 1-for-1. Oh, it's a 3-for-2. Alright. But they get Young Peasy trigger, so it's a kind of a 2-for-2. Yuck. Yeah, we had one window last turn to try to get Primeval Titan in there, but it did not happen, clearly. So I'm just gonna hold up Ice Fang Coatl, and I can cast that and Once Upon a Time on their turn. When a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay 2. When you do, that creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Yeah, so that's pretty cool that Halana, the creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. So if the creature has Death Touch, it kills it. It's not Halana dealing the damage. So that's cool, though that is a 8 mana interaction. 4 + 2 + 2 for the trigger. Would this card have been too good if it just was free? Alright, so 3, 4, 5, 6. I go to 9. And then next turn they have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's lethal. So I have to block the food, or else I am just dead on board. Though, if I play Halana, then I have a 3-4 blocker. But I'm going to have to crack my fetch land. So yeah, I guess I have to block the food, even though I would prefer to block Young Pyromancer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they just have to cast one spell and make one elemental to beat me here. I guess if they counter this, then that's one less spell they have for Halana. I'm dead to Lightning Bolt regardless, though. So now just gotta hope for Halana to work. Ooh, gain 1 life. Don't mind if I do. Alright, 3-4 reach creature is in play. Is this enough to save me? Or is Force Blue card your last 2 cards in hand? Force pitching Force, last cards in hand. Okay. Delver, so efficient. What a good deck that is. Even if you are playing Young Pyromancer. Alright, Carpet of Flowers coming in. Tabernacle seems pretty good against the Young Pyromancer deck, and I think I want Flusterstorm. Veil is pretty good. Uro's actually good. Ice Fang Quaddle's actually good. Oh, it's nice when that works out. I don't know if I want to rely on Candelabras against the Wasteland deck. Like, Candelabra is a card that sends you into the Stratosphere when you're already doing well, but if you're not doing well, it's a liability. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling the push and pull where I wish I was just a snow deck here instead of this post configuration. Do I want Astrolabes? Can I afford to cut Ulamog? Or do I cut Emrakul? Do I just leave them both in? No, I think I am gonna cut a Zenith. Oh, I can shave on Once Upon a Times. Because my plan isn't really to Cloud Post in this matchup anyway. And I wish Excavator had more value in general in this list. Like, none of these lands, other than the fetch lands, really jump back and forth from play. Like, there's no Wasteland or anything that to go off with that. Like, now Raminep Excavator is just like playing against their Wastelands. Alright, so this is what I'm boarding in first. Can I find 2 spots for these Veils of Summer? I think that maybe Emrakul is a dream, and I'll bring in a Veil. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. I will go first. Okay, I can keep this. I'm gonna play Cloud Post first, because that comes into play tapped. I can play Astrolabe on a future turn and still get the value. Oh good, that wasn't Delver. Just not every time the Delver deck does anything on turn 1 other than Delver, you should be happy. Ooh. Time to figure out how to sequence this. So if I play Astrolabe now, I'll have colored mana available. Yeah, I think I just play Cloud Post. Yeah, that sounds right. Just investing in the future. Making other top deck Cloud Posts better. Not a wasteland. It's a Young Pyromancer, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Okay, it's the good one this time. For some reason, its art is gone. Oh, Magic Online. You dirty idiot. I'm gonna fetch Forest. Get my Astrolabe in there. None of this. Like, I have 4 cards in my hand that cost blue-green, and I have 2 Cloud Posts in play. So this is feeling a little bit disjointed. Just gotta hope this Ponder doesn't find a wasteland. Just dead to Wasteland at any point here. I can Uro next turn. Try to pull ahead. They did not shuffle. That's bad news. Okay, that's good news. This wouldn't be a bad time to find my Tabernacle. I actually want like another colored mana source, just like basic island would be great. Okay, I mean, that is a lot of mana. And it's some life, so I'll take that. I'm gonna Uro here too. Because Uro is the way I can convert this into more lands and keep doing stuff. Ooh, I guess I could Brainstorm. Oh, no, because I already played my land, so I do need to Uro. If I had Brainstormed first, I might have been able to find another colored source and then Uro to make my Glimmer Post drop. 4 of a kind. Alright, well I have a lot of life and I have a long-term plan, but kind of squeezed on this colored mana right now. God, Wasteland is so crazy when it takes you off 3 mana instead of 1. Card's good at 1. They chose to shuffle. More cantrip. I think I basically have to Brainstorm on my turn. Alright, not a Wasteland. We take those every time. Alright, so I'll start with this. This one's a freebie. Ooh, that was a great draw. So if they try to counter this, I can Veil of Summer. Also, soft counters are just way out of the picture at this point. Alright, so I'm gonna go to second main, trigger Carpet, and get 3 mana. Yes, and make blue mana, please. Alright, Brainstorm first. See where this goes. Okay, so I can get rid of some of these Coatls. How much green mana can I make? So if I get rid of 2 of the Coatls, or a Coatl and an island. Yeah, if I put back Coatl and island, then get a forest here. And cast one of these Coatls, draw a card, then I can cast another Coatl or a Reclaimer if I prefer. Ooh, it's gotta survive this turn. I think I would rather play Coatl than Reclaimer. Just have another thing there. Because Reclaimer is still a 1/2, it's not really going to be particularly effective in combat. If we win this game, it's going to be on the back of Carpet of Flowers. So they have a Lightning Bolt. So they can attack, Bolt. I take 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. I'm taking 9 in combat, going to 9. I have Tabernacle. So I can play Tabernacle and Raminep Excavator and Elvish Reclaimer while holding up Veil of Summer. Oh, I can play the Coatl too. I have just everything because of Carpet of Flowers. So I gotta find some way it is to draw or gain some life. Like my Glimmer Posts. Like if I draw Primeval Titan, I can Titan into 2 Glimmer Posts. I'm not even sure if that's enough at this point. I need to get the Tabernacle into play too. I have Ugin. That's pretty good. Alright, so yes, and I'm gonna make green mana this time. Oh, Uro's in the graveyard. Maybe I should have made blue. Okay, it's fine, I'll figure it out. So, make a bunch of mana, make one of it blue. Maybe I'll make 2 of it blue. Let's just start with this Uro and see what happens. Alright, Uro just came into play. That'll give me some life. I can run out Eye of Ugin. And then I can play this Elvish Reclaimer and this Raminep Excavator. And Tabernacle. It's going to hurt them more than it hurts me, by a lot. What are their 7 cards in hand if all of my spells just resolved like that? There's just a bunch of burn spells, so more creatures. Like, what are they up to over there? Alright, an end step Brainstorm doesn't hurt me too bad. Because it's not like that elemental is still going to be around in combat. Lightning Bolt targeting Raminep Excavator. Okay. That's fine. It didn't go face, I'll take it. Now they can save up to 4 of these. I don't think they're going to save all 4. They'll probably save Young Pyromancer and their Arcanist. And just let all the elementals die. Then that'll leave them with... oh, they paid for... Oh, that was for the Arcanist, okay. I did not bring in my Bajuka Bog. It would be pretty good in this spot, though. One, two, three, four, 5. Yeah, not quite able to activate Eye of Ugin. I can crop rotate this turn, though. Submerge. Let's try to deny that. Alright, yeah, they forced that. That's fine. Yeah, that's not a big deal. Uro can come back off the top. That's not a great card to submerge in general. So they can bolt my Reclaimer, and I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, if they find a wasteland here for the Tabernacle, I'm in trouble. If they don't, this game is going to keep going for a while. I don't have any lands in my graveyard, so I can't even crop rotate to save that. They found the wasteland. My life is cursed. At least I have this. Though they've cantripped so many times, their hand is probably just the best 4 cards in their deck, whatever that is to them. Ooh. That just happened. So I think I just get a Cloud Post. I boarded out Emrakul. That's the one I need. Vesuva, interesting. Alright, so make blue. This actually kind of sucks because I want to gain life, I think. So this is 12 currently. Yeah, I want to copy this. Gain 5 life. If Emrakul was in my deck, I think I can cast her this turn. But she's not. It's just Ulamog. Maybe that's just a fundamental rule of these decks that you don't cut your Emrakul. Alright, so they have enough things that this is probably a problem. I'm gonna get rid of Young Pyromancer and Dreadhorde Arcanist. Alright, they're forcing... I'll Coatl in response in case I draw a Veil of Summer. Alright, didn't happen. Now I'm not sure how I win anymore. If Emrakul was in the deck, I would win, but she's not, so instead I'm gonna lose. Wow, I fucked that up. I guess I underestimated the power of the deck. Ooh. They may have just fucked up. So I can kill their Dreadhorde Arcanist now. Hope you didn't need that. Spoiler, they didn't. Primeval Titan off the top still does it. Just like getting 2 Glimmer Posts will gain me enough life. That's fine, I was done using that, sucker. Alright, show me Primeval Titan. Crop rotation, what does that do? I can crop rotate for a Glimmer Post and live for another turn. I guess that has to be the plan. So I can play this Cloud Post and then crop rotate this Vesuva into something else. There's no land that gets Primeval Titan. Oh, let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm at 1. Alright. We live to see another draw step. Urza would be great here. I have plenty of cards in my graveyard. I was about to say they should brainstorm, but I kind of hope they just go for the Chain Lightning to put me to 1. But brainstorm is definitely the right play. Alright, come on, Primeval Titan. Titan! Alright, so you're saying there's a chance. Alright, I'm gonna save this carpet till second main. It may still be useful. Titan. Ah. Alright. The game is over. Alright, maybe I shouldn't have boarded out Emrakul. My bad. Alright, on the play for round 4. Emrakul's in hand. Lesson learned. Right where you want that card. So this hand doesn't ramp. It does cast Coatl. It does have Candelabra for like when I do find a Cloud Post. I'm gonna keep this. It's kind of already a 6 because Emrakul's in it. But I think that's okay. If this gets Force of Willed, I would not even be mad. This does give away the whole game, though. Alright. Ice Fang Coatl. Force pitching Ice Fang Coatl. Are we finally playing against a snow deck? Is it time for my queen to farm? Alright, I'll save that for a Primeval Titan. That was a pretty aggro Force of Will, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so begin the alternate plan. Alright, how about Cloud Posts? Got enough Glimmer Posts. Maybe one day. That Brainstorm. Not bad. I could use a Brainstorm right now. Hopefully this game ends up showing what a beating the Cloud Post package is on fair decks. I've been saying it this whole time, but we've played against 2 combo decks and a Wasteland deck. Like, this is not a good start for me, and I still feel totally fine. I'm thinking that in that last game, I shouldn't have played out the Reminap Excavator because it just got bolted for no value, and then I lost because I didn't have Tabernacle. Just after the fact, shower thoughts here. I think I want to be working towards this Primeval Titan. Like, I could grab this Reclaimer, or I could just take Uro. Nah, Uro looks right. Okay, I'll take Uro. Play another one of these. Yeah, keeping the cards flowing, having that thread hanging out in the graveyard, both sound good. And Uro and Primeval Titan are both giants for Cavern of Souls. So count that as a win. And Emrakul is so giant that she doesn't even need Cavern of Souls. This can't be countered, printed right on the card. So let's hope they don't find a way to turn the corner. Like, if they get anything going here, alright, yeah, they're just passing the turn. That's not going to help. Alright, crop rotation, we're in business. So, gonna name Giant. Can't be countered. Forget about it. Alright, so I got crop rotations kind of going nuts here. Pretty sure I'm supposed to rotate in their end step. Like, I kind of hope they use this brainstorm to get rid of counterspells in their hand, because I have Cavern on Giant, and Emrakul can't be countered anyway. I think if I'm going to rotate right now is the time. Like, I don't think they have Wasteland, and right now they don't have 5 mana to hardcast Force of Will. They have to spend their own mana if they have a soft counter, because it's their turn. They haven't drawn yet, so alright. That's fine. Just get through that, tap them out on their turn. The Force of Negation specifically was annoying because it means that that card isn't in the graveyard for Uro. The crop rotation isn't. The Glimmer Post still is. I wonder if I just crop rotate a Glimmer Post into like basic island next turn. That lets me Uro. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just a little short. Yeah, I guess I'll play Dryad Arbor. Just attack here. So if they do anything to my Dryad Arbor, I can crop rotate it away into a Cloud Post. If they don't do anything to it, I'll just cast Primeval Titan. But like, look what's happening in this game. I've described it a few times, like even in the deck tech, like the midrange war. They had what, a turn 2 or turn 3? I think turn 3 Sylvan Library. This thing's activated 3 or 4 times now, and it just doesn't seem to matter. All right, you got an Uro of your own. That can't come back this turn, and I can overpower it with Emrakul next turn. Yeah, this prime time is just going to get 2 Cloud Posts, and then that makes 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana. Pretty, or I can attack and get 2 more Cloud Posts, and then I can Emrakul second main. So if they have like Dead of Winter and Force Blue card to kill Dryad Arbor and counter the crop rotation, they can survive. Alright, made it to at least my upkeep. Oh, that was smart. Do I? No, I don't crop rotate that. That doesn't matter. Alright, so that actually fucked up my whole shit. I could just attack for 2. I can also still just jam prime time anyway. But does that kill me if it doesn't work? Alright, I'll play Candelabra. I'm going to try to set up a longer plan than that. I'm just going to attack for 2 here. Maybe that was bad. Oh god, that Assassin Trophy was so fucking good. After talking shit about how they didn't do anything for the entire game, now they're going to have Uro in play. Maybe I should have just jammed Primeval Titan. Main deck Assassin's Trophy is so smart. So blue, blue, green, green. Yeah, they do have the requisite mana to bring back Uro even without the help of Astrolabe. I guess I should crop rotate now, like it's now or never. Because Uro's about to draw another card. I should have done it in their upkeep. I have let this game go off the rails. Like I played around a counterspell on my turn and then just played just to play into it more likely on this turn. Like they've seen 3 cards since the last time I decided to play around a counterspell. I don't know. Definitely mistakes were made. Though I guess crop rotation could function as a bait spell. Like if they fight over this and then I draw an untapped mana source. Okay, they fought over that. They did have force. Remember when I was a turn away from hardcasting Emrakul and now I'm like barely even in this game? Untap land? I can untap that land. I still think going for Uro is better. I'm going to leave Cavern in the graveyard because I do play Ramanap Excavator. Alright, we got Death Touch now. Unstoppable. I'm not going to attack because I kind of am fine trading this for Uro. Or if they have to commit a removal spell to this that's not pointed at my Uro, that's also fine. This Uro resolving makes me think Primeval Titan might be okay to resolve too. Alright, lots of removal. But I am at 38 life. My goodness. When did that even happen? I guess I played a bunch of Glimmer Posts and Uro went out twice and they plowed a 6/6. Alright. We're down to a classic Uro fight. They have Sylvan Library versus my handful of high-end bangers. Yeah, whatever. Alright, no Force of Will, please. Alright, we're in there. It's happening. So normally I would get Eye of Ugin, but Emrakul's already in my hand, so I'm just going to get 2 Cloud Posts. Let's go straight to the top. And I think Dryad Arbor is more useful casting Once Upon a Time than it is attacking at this point. So this is 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh yeah. They have to Thoughtseize me just to stop from getting Emrakul'd. Guess if they have a main deck back to basics, that would get the shit out of me here. But that's not hugely played anymore. Alright, that's gonna elk my Primeval Titan. That's fine. You're gonna go to 13, then you're gonna take 15. And even if they find Caracas, it doesn't matter, because I'm happy to recast Emrakul over and over again with all my extra turns. Ooh, Ice Fang Coatl's kind of a beating, though. Though I still get to annihilate 6 permanents. Though Uro is the type of permanent that can win the game on its own. Leovold. Okay, that's fine. Alright, Leovold means that they don't have Ice Fang Coatl. But I do. Apparently. 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. Roar. GG. Alright, that got a little dicey, but like I said the whole time, my hand was bad basically the whole game, and then I ended up winning anyway. I think Bajuka Bog is good enough in this matchup, though Surgical might be better. Because I mostly only care about Uro. Halana, sorry. You're cool. I hope we get to use you in this league, but I don't think this is the matchup for it. Alright, these Once Upon a Times can get skinnier. Do I need Astrolabes? And I guess I have already experienced color screw with all these colorless lands and all these double cost cards. So maybe I do need that. Alright, Carpet, Carpet, Veil, Veil, Surgical, Surgical. I guess Carpet is like a way better Arkham's Astrolabe. Oh, I could cut a Candelabra. Like, I don't think I really need to be built for speed in this matchup. Yeah, I'm gonna cut the Candelabras. And that gives me one more slot. I could put Bajuka Bog in. I could bring in one Flusterstorm just to win like a key counter war. Like if I can protect a Zenith or protect a Primetime, that matters a lot. This is pretty close between Flusterstorm and Bajuka Bog for me. I'm gonna go with the Flusterstorm actually. Because every turn of that game where it felt like things might be close, it was because like I was playing around one spell. So I'm gonna bring in all the ways I can to play around spells. Oh my god, this hand. Maybe this is what I deserve for cutting the Once Upon a Times. Alright, so Cavern is going to be important for casting this Uro. Vesuva's a way off from being helpful, and I guess Flusterstorm has to go too. Like, I do need to hit my land drops, and Carpet is going to be great. Probably. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to play my Carpet. That lets them know to fetch around. Like, they don't have to really play islands. Like, they started with Swamp Astrolabe, which is already playing around Carpet. But now they can just, like, fetch plains and forest for a while. But if they have to do that, then they are playing kind of awkwardly. Like, I promise that's not the game they want to be playing. Unless they have 2 or 3 Astrolabes that can make it irrelevant. Yeah, if this is just like Forest Astrolabe, alright, yeah. Then they have the play around Carpet of Flowers hand. Not much I could do about that. Alright, I'll add green. 0 green added to the pool. Though my hand is doing alright. Like I have the Cavern for Uro, and then that'll bridge the gap up to Primeval Titan. I wonder if they missed a land drop on purpose, or if they actually just missed a land drop. So I'll name the giant. Like, if they're playing a game where they're gonna miss land drops and protect all the spells in their hand, I'm not gonna let them get value out of those spells where I can. Like, I don't want to let them Force of Will and Uro when I could just make sure it resolves. I'm also doing a pretty good job playing around back to basics. It's not super popular anymore, but it definitely could be in this deck. Alright. They Abrupt Decayed that just to get an island into play. And I guess they had to, or else I was casting Primeval Titan this turn. I'm gonna go for Excavator first, because it can get value right away if they don't counter it, and it goes really nicely with this Brainstorm. I'm gonna cast Brainstorm when they don't have 3 mana up for Hull Breacher. Alright, that's kind of an awkward Brainstorm because I end up wanting up all these cards. That's alright though. They need the Assassin's Trophy, like right now, or else it's prime time. And if they trophy the Cavern, that means they didn't trophy Raminep Excavator. Alright, now, or I guess they could still trophy if they have 2 lands. Alright, am I getting plowed or what? What's going on here? Okay. Deal. Yeah, that was a 2-for-1. So we take all of those. I'll draw one of these Coatls. Then I'll end up getting rid of the other one. And here's this giant. I'm gonna get 2 posts. I could get post Eye of Ugin, but I don't have enough mana to activate the Eye of Ugin or cast anything that I could get with the Eye of Ugin at this point. So I just want to get my mana under me. This library is kind of scary, but at the same time, like, my mana is under me at this point. Thespian Stage can copy Cloud Post. They took 4. Oh, they do have back to basics. Okay, good to know. If they have Assassin's Trophy, oh, they plow. Okay. I was gonna say if they have an answer, it's gonna cost them one of their lands. Okay, so I want to. All right, I'm gonna run out these. I'm gonna start with Coatl. Vesuva can copy Basic Forest. Is there a disenchant in this 75 for back to basics? I should check that. Oh yeah, there's Force of Vigors that I didn't bring in, but that's it. Alright, this deck might want a plan for back to basics. I don't want to bring in I guess Force of Vigor would be pretty good because this is such a Sylvan Library centric deck these days. I think I was supposed to copy Basic Island last turn. Though I guess I'm still one short of Uro, so it might not matter. But they get to Uro now. Yeah, I'm gonna bring in back to basics or Force of Vigor for game 3. I'll probably play like 1 or 2 more turns and see what happens. But this Uro is a problem. Okay, so I can Uro myself this turn. Ooh, Carpet is a big game, as they say. Alright, I'm gonna tuck this Ulamog on top and see if they counter Carpet. They probably should, if they can. That's good for 3 mana right now. Alright, they countered that. So then I'm gonna go for Uro. And I'm losing the Uro fight. I have way more life than they do, but they have Sylvan Library, and their deck plays removal. Both of which will eventually pull them ahead of this game. And poor Ulamog, just shuffled straight into the deck. This Ulamog is technically an out to back to basics, though I don't know how I would get enough mana for that. I guess it would take Carpet of Flowers, but they're both gone already. I mean, if all 6 of the cards they can see right now are bricks, then we got a chance. Oko's not a brick. Oko's very good. Ooh, didn't attack. They're living in fear. I guess I will attack their face then. Though, now they can attack, and I don't have a Death Touch blocker, and they can just make an Astrolabe Elk to block this, and then they win. Alright, I've had enough. I'll tap out. I think I could have whittled their clock down pretty hard, but I'm not going to do that on camera. That's just boring. But timing out these snow decks is a totally reasonable win condition on Magic Online. Alright, so I think that Force of Vigor is better than Flusterstorm now that we've seen back to basics. And I don't love the Surgical Extraction. I think it would have won me that game, like if I could have just blanked the Uro, but I don't think I won 2 of that card. I'll keep this. I'm going to lead on Reclaimer. Maybe slow roll this Carpet a little bit this game, see if I can get at least 1 trigger out of it. Maybe they won't have a double astrolabe hand that can just play with no islands. That's an island. It's a non-basic island too. It's not even a snowland. So this is the first time I've had Reclaimer untap in this deck. Now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with it. Like I could play Glimmer Post. No, I think what I want to do is get Carpet into play. Like, do I just activate Reclaimer immediately? I think so. I'm sacking the non-basics so I can keep my basics around for the eventual back to basics, but I do want to get the Cloud Post engine running. Yeah, now I have Cloud Post and Carpet, so I'll have 3, 4, 5 mana next turn. Unless they Abrupt Decay. Okay, yeah, they Abrupt Decayed that, which let the Carpet live. Glad Reclaimer activated while it still could. And we got another one. Another one. Or are they going to Force of Will this? That's not even that bad. Okay, deal. All right, I'm going to play the Island in case I want to Brainstorm Crop Rotation. Like, that is a shuffle for Brainstorm. I can play Glimmer Post anytime. Is it Uro time or Oko time? All right. I kind of prefer Uro to Oko in this particular situation. Though, that is ready to emerge next turn. Oh, not true. They missed their land drop. And they don't have double blue. Alright, I'm gonna use the Carpet to Brainstorm. Not bad, not bad at all. Alright, so I'm gonna put back these two in this order. Glimmer Post and Cavern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I play this Glimmer Post this turn. Then I can Cavern on Giant next turn. I guess I should play around Force of Negation by going to their draw step. I'm gonna stop in their draw step. Going to draw gives them one more chance to find a counterspell for this, but it also gives them another chance to find another Uro that I can rip from their hand. Alright, so they have Oko, Brainstorm, Ponder, and 2 islands. Oh, so they just didn't make a land drop last turn because of Carpet. That's awesome. I'll take that deal. Alright, so they have the 3 Okos and Leovold left to win this game with, now that they don't have any Uros. And they have 2 back to basics. Okay. Got it. Oh, that didn't go to the reveal zone. Okay, fine. Alright, here comes Oko. They're getting prime timed next turn. Let's see if they continue refusing to make land drops. Alright. That's one way to play around Cavern, or Carpet. Yes, I think I do want to activate my carpet. Now I can do it second main. Giant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so they can elk my Primeval Titan. I'm gonna get 2 cloud posts. And then I'm gonna use Carpet of Flowers to crop rotate into Eye of Ugin. And I just need them not to top deck back to basics. Yeah, so they have Ponder and a land drop to give here. This like playing around Carpet of Flowers by not making our land drop business they've been doing means that they can only cantrip once to find the back to basics. Like I don't think I agree with that line at all. Like this match is going to come down to back to basics one way or the other, and you should maximize your ability to find it and cast it. Just they have 2 islands in their hand that could be in play. They could cantrip 3 times this turn and still make a land drop plus back to basics if they had just hit their land drops normally. And they had Oko to hit Primeval Titan in their hand also. Like the turn they passed with 2 islands, they were holding Oko. Like so you deny me like an extra mana here and there on Carpet of Flowers, so I can't cast Primeval Titan, which you have covered anyway. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Alright, so I have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 mana. That's not enough to do it all. I will cast my Coatl though. See if I find another post. Get some extra mana here. I think I want to attack my opponent's face. If they want to trade their food for my elk, that's okay. Because they're getting Emrakul next turn anyway, unless they find back to basics right now. And even if they find back to basics, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can still get Ulamog and cast it, even if they find back to basics at this point. Okay. That is fine. Somehow, fine. That's a bold attack into my Death Touch creature. And they must know what they were doing. Must have made that attack for a reason. Alright, so in the end step, 4, 5, 6, 7. Activate Eye of Ugin. Get Ulamog. Then on my turn, yes, let's activate that. Make blue 4, 8. I don't even need this blue, but I'm going to use it for Astrolabe anyway. Ulamog, exile, back to basics, and Oko. Yeah, just overpowered the shit out of that. Even if they force Ulamog, their permanents are still gone, which is the important part. This looks like a desperation brainstorm. So they basically need to find force and blue card to keep the 10/10 out of play. They lose these two permanents, and then they need to untap and redeploy another back to basics. Or they can just concede. Alright, that's also a deal. GG's. Alright, we're on the draw here in the finals. See if we can salvage that 2-3. I'm going to keep this hand. This is the cloud postiest hand we've had in the whole league. And just got to hope that I'm not dead. It's probably elves. Yeah, alright. So this is just a race. And I don't think I'm favored in this race, and I'm not sure my sideboard helps. Being on the draw definitely hurts too. Tabernacle is in the sideboard and Glacial Chasm. Alright, so my sideboard does help actually quite a lot here. Alright, Zenith, do you have the Cradle also? Oh wow. Nope, double Dryad Arbor. If only I played Electrickery. Okay, so I want to put this Elvish Reclaimer into play. Like, I want to be on board, I want to be able to make choices, and like, I don't want to just bleed out to 1/1s while I'm getting set up. There's a good chance they combo, or at least they just natural order this turn, but I want to at least have some velocity here. Yeah, there's Glimpse. That'll do. Cradle is going to tap for Infinity Gazillion this turn. So they can probably get at least 6/1s into play. Now with Heritage Druid, yeah, their whole deck's coming into play. Alright, so I board in the Tabernacle, I board in the Glacial Chasm. I look for hands that have crop rotation. That's the plan, pretty much. Allosaurus Shepherd is such a good card that, like, normally I would say I should bring in Flusterstorm, and I probably will just out of desperation. But, like, it's not like they are going to cut Shepherd because they didn't see blue cards. It's still one of their win conditions. And, like, the pay 6, your elves become dinosaurs. So, bringing in counterspells is kind of a fool's errand, but I am kind of committed to being that fool, unfortunately. Alright, so they untap Dryad Arbor. So with these two symbiotes, they can recast, at the very least, this Quirion Ranger 2 more times and draw 2 more cards. Plus they have mana floating. I also have an elf, though. So I am, in this game, I'm contributing. If they play an Elvish Champion, I'll be able to attack them for 2 with Forest Walk. Yeah, like there's not even a path to victory here. Even if they whiff on this combo and never cast another spell, like this board is going to kill me in 2 turns, and I'm not 2 turns away from Emrakul. I do kind of love that Elves is just a premier legacy deck again. It had a hard time for a while there, but it's back. Allosaurus Shepherd is the hero we needed. I'm not sure that's a reasonable card to exist, but it does. Alright, so they can untap one of these Dryad Arbors. Oh, and the Shepherd. They can untap Dryad Arbor and Shepherd. Assuming they, actually it doesn't even matter if they tapped right. Okay. Yeah, I'm dead. I can go to 1, technically, like I block and I take 18, but then what? Okie dokie, there's that. So, Tabernacle and Glacial Chasm come in. I guess I probably want Mindbreak Trap also. That's not a counterspell. Not really. If Halana's gonna shine, this might be the matchup for her. So, I'm gonna keep Halana. I might need Candelabra to catch up with them on speed. Uro, Ice Fang Coatl, not great. Yeah, I think this is just what I'm gonna do here. I'm not gonna bring in the Flusterstorms. I'm gonna bring in the Mindbreak Traps, but they're gonna have Allosaurus Shepherd regardless, so this is the plan. Wow, 3 combo decks. So you'll find in the Magic Online metagame, leagues tend to be full of combo decks because leagues benefit you for getting them done quickly so you can join another league, compared to the weekly challenges or Swiss tournaments where just one good performance is more important than getting lots of 4-1s in the same day. So I'm not surprised, though the league metagame does not change how I feel about the fact that this deck is being a worse snow deck than snow decks and a worse cloud post deck than cloud post decks, which is just like, that's not necessarily Gonzalo's fault. It's just that is how hybrid legacy decks tend to end up. Because legacy's full of good cards. Like if you hybridize decks, you usually end up bastardizing them instead of hybridizing them. My opponent went to 5. Let's see if that matters. So I have the Candlestick. I have several Cloud Posts. If I find an Eldrazi, I might be able to do this. I'm gonna Once Upon a Time, because I have to do this, and then I'll inform if I want to. Ooh, I found both Eldrazi. Alright, so how fast can I get up to Emrakul? I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -2 is 5, plus another 6 is 11. I'll have 11 mana next turn. Oh, I'm gonna take Ulamog. Copy Cloud Post. And play this Candlestick. Alright, so that did kind of expose me to Abrupt Decay, but I guess they might think I'm a Chalice deck, which means that mulling to Abrupt Decay makes sense. Oh, if they just have Thoughtseize, bummer. Alright, fine, Ulamog, I'll see you next time. Alright, the turn 3 Ulamog Dream is gone. Unless they also have Land Abrupt Decay, and maybe they just take like Zenith and strand Ulamog in my hand instead. But that's playing with fire. Yeah, thought so. That was a good Thoughtseize. I wish I could have Warping Wailed it. That would have been so sick, leaving up this 2 mana because of the Candelabra. Alright, so I was just gonna say, 1, 2, 3, 4, pay 2. I can Zenith for Primeval Titan, and then I also drew 1, so that was cool. Good thing I play more than 1. Yeah, so I'm gonna Zenith for Prime Time, and I'm gonna get Tabernacle and Eye of Ugin. There was probably a way to untap Tropical Island and just cast the one from my hand, but I think it ends up costing the same amount of mana. Or, no, I mean, I guess it's 1 less. I guess it protects the information that I drew another Primeval Titan, though. And what am I saving Zenith for? Like, Prime Time is the goal. Alright, so I'm getting Eye and Tabernacle. Yeah, having played a lot of elves myself, when you have a Dryad Arbor in play versus Tabernacle, it feels real bad. And it's still a creature for Cradle. Like, they can save all their creatures. I would probably let Heritage Druid die, but I guess it depends on if you have Cradle or not. Okay, they are planning for something here. But Cradle only taps for 3, and if they use a creature... Okay, yeah, they just packed it up. I don't think there was a line where you can save Heritage Druid there, though. I don't know. Alright, Primeval Titan showing up clutch with the tab. Big old tabby. Alright, I think I want all my Once Upon a Times. I think that was a mistake last game to cut one of them, because that's another card that looks for Tabernacle. And that's basically all I have to do in this matchup. And they can beat a Tabernacle, but like I can't beat a game where I don't have Tabernacle. Ooh, Mindbreak Trap. Is that a keep? This hand sucks. Like if I had any source to get this Astrolabe online, I would consider it. Alright, this hand has Tabernacle in it. I'm gonna bottom Halana, unfortunately. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna land go. I kind of have to hold up crop rotation just to make sure I don't lose to like everything. Like if I just put this forest into play, I can crop rotate for Glacial Chasm if they go off. I can crop rotate for Tabernacle if they just put a bunch of creatures into play but don't go off. This doesn't look like a combo turn. They didn't lead on Glimpse. They already played their land, so they don't have Cradle. Alright, so I'm gonna draw for turn, and then probably cast Once Upon a Time. I would like to get this Elvish Reclaimer into play, and still get Tabernacle, or have the crop rotation. Oh, that is 5 lands. What does that do? I guess I want the Cloud Post. Yeah, so if I grab Cloud Post, I can run that out. I can rotate for Glacial Chasm, then that's not even good. Maybe I'll just play Reclaimer and leave up crop rotation for another turn. Because I really don't want to get Glacial Chasm unless they are literally attacking for lethal. But if I untap with Reclaimer, then I have 2 crop rotations, kind of. Like being able to reclaim for Chasm in combat would be pretty nice. Oh, is this just a little natural order business? Yep. So they might just get Progenitus here. Or whatever their backup monster is, Archon of Valor's Reach. I think it's probably... Oh, okay. They're just hoofing. So, I mean, that is 17 damage, which is a lot. Alright, so how do I play this now? I can rotate for the Glacial Chasm, and then I can pay life for a few turns while I get set up. Oh, Glacial Chasm makes me sack my other forest. God, that sucks. Oh, this is not a play I'm excited about. Yeah, I might lose when I do this, but it's my... I would lose if I didn't, so I'm in. So I pay 2, then 4, then 6, that's 12, and then the next one is 8. Okay, so I can keep this in play for 3 turns. That was actually one of the best draws that there is. It ramps mana, it gains life. I can end step Reclaimer to turn Glacial Chasm into a different land the turn before I'm ready to sack it. I can play both these Candelabras next turn. Yeah, this game is getting kind of wild. If they have Assassin's Trophy at any point, I'm dead. I guess that's not even true though, because now that we're through the hoof trigger, now it's just a 5/5. Yes, I go to 13. Oh wow, just chaining Glimmer Post together now. We're going off. All right, so I can Candelabra to untap Cloud Post to activate Elvish Reclaimer, if that's a thing I want to do. I pay 6 and go to 9 on my next upkeep. Yeah, I want to keep this in play one more turn, I think. And I want to rotate this Glimmer Post into another Cloud Post before then. Zenith for 2. Oh, is this Collector Oof? That would be brutal to my master plan here. I hope it's just Elvish Visionary. Alright, good. Dodged. Alright, so rotate this into another Cloud Post. pay 6 life, then gain 3 life. Yeah, these Glimmer Posts have let me keep this Glacial Chasm an entire extra turn. So now if I rotate Chasm in the end step, yeah, it's time to do math. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I can go down to 4 to go up to 8. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I go down to 4 to go up to 10. Then I go up to 8 to go up to 14. I'm actually 2 turns away from getting Emrakul. All right, so, and this comes into play tapped. All right. I'll spend one more turn getting Cloud Post, and then I should be able to do everything in one turn after that. And I know it's a preposterous idea, but if I just like draw a useful card also. All right, so I go to 4, and now it's go time. We're all in. All right. So I'm going to end step rotate into Eye of Ugin. And then I'll have 9 minus 7 plus 9 is 16 minus, or yeah, so it's 9 to 7 to 16 to 14 to 23 mana. And 13 plus 7 is 20, so I should be able to Emrakul next turn. If I don't die to Assassin's Trophy this turn. Oh, they're glimpsing. Oh no. I don't know if they have a way to win, or if they could just be frantically digging for Assassin's Trophy. If Assassin's Trophy's in their deck and they can do a pretty big glimpse to find it here, they can win. This Reclaimer has been bananas though. Like this card has done basically all the work this game. I wish I could have 6, but I can't because I have to do stuff in the end step. All there is to do is see where this goes at this point. Like, since Deathrite Shaman was banned, Glacial Chasm became much better against elves, because they used to be able to just bleed you out with life loss instead of damage. Shaman of the Pack is not a card that is usually in Legacy Elves that can lose life instead of deal damage. I think Assassin's Trophy is the most likely way I lose the game here. Also, if they have and boarded in Collector Oof and find it, that would also lose me the game. Yeah, they have so much mana now that Tabernacle doesn't even matter. They're also at the point where Emrakul isn't lethal, and they have more than 6. Okay, now Emrakul is lethal. They just put themselves to 15. So, I mean, let's dodge this Assassin's Trophy, please. Yeah, nice hand. My hand was already empty. I shocked you. Gotcha. Oh, they seem to be passing through combat. Yes. We may yet survive this. Sack a land this one. I'm going to get the eye. So I actually think I have enough extra mana that I can rotate one of my cloud posts. Oh shit, I could have Candelabra'd to untap at the end step. I just fucked that up so bad. Whoops. Doesn't matter because I'm a boss. Alright. No justice. Yeah, that's insane. I just totally bricked on that. I could have used the candlesticks to untap the eyes to get Emrakul in the end step. Did not even occur to me until I had already clicked through it. But doesn't matter because there's no justice. And I already done the math the hard way. But now we have a cool combo. I was starting to say before I realized I fucked up my last turn that we can rotate one of these lands into Caracas and just take infinite turns from here. So there's an extra turn. I can go get Ulamog now also. Okay, so extra turn trigger. I have Ulamog. Oh, I just fucked up the Caracas line, but it only matters if they can gain life. Yeah, I needed to rotate this. Oh no, I have Candelabras. It all doesn't matter. Yeah, I can rotate for Candelabra and then, or rotate for Caracas, getting Candelabra, and that is the GG. Even if they weren't at 15, that would do it. All right, there, letting themselves get annihilated. That was a cool game, even if I missed that cool interaction at the end there. Hiding behind Glacial Chasm while Elvish Reclaimer won the game by itself. That was really cool. I'm glad we stuck that out. Okay, so I'm pretty, like, you didn't need to convince me that Snow is good, and I am pretty convinced on Reclaimer 12 post, like the mono green 12 post with Reclaimer after that game we just played. Like, this was the hero that could. I am not convinced that they belong in the same shell together. Just a lot of the times when you try to hybridize legacy decks, you end up with a deck that's worse than either of the other versions. And I think that has happened here. Like, the number of times we had Icefang, Coatl, or Uro in hand but couldn't cast it because all the mana was colorless, or like we wanted to cast Uro but couldn't because mana was like Uro out of the graveyard's even worse than Uro in hand, or like our third or fourth land drop came into play tapped with Cloud Post, which you can't afford in a snow deck. So there was a lot of tension between the two plans here. I also think the sideboard needs a lot more help against combo than it currently has. Like, I already made a number of changes to make it better against combo just off the list before I even played it, but then we got completely dumpstered by combo anyway. So those are my thoughts about the deck. I would pick a side and go with it rather than try to hybridize them. And I don't have any thoughts other than that. If you insist on playing this build of this deck, fix the sideboard. There's got to be more. I would put like Return to Nature in there, just like a cleaner answer to Back to Basics, and just way more cards for combo. Like the appeal of these colorless decks is that you get like Chalice of the Void and Trinisphere kind of stuff, and because you're playing Candelabra, Astrolabe, Brainstorm, Crop Rotation, you don't get those cards. So I just you lose what makes these decks good when you try to push them together. So thanks for watching. Glad we were able to salvage a couple wins at the end there. And we had a very cool game at the end as well. So again, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you want me to play your deck, get in touch. My contact info is in the description below, and I'll see you next time.